Hi, I believe this is my first video on my new channel, so my name's Allie. Welcome to the fam. That is sickening, I'm so sorry. My name is Allie, welcome to this channel. Subscribe if you want to see if I get any better at this. Probably won't happen, just gonna warn you there. This video is about my favorite books that I read in 2021. I have filmed this several times and it's either literally 2 minutes long or an hour long. So I'm going to name the title and the author of a book that I really enjoyed this past year, and then really quickly, like, things that pop out, like a hashtag. I don't know. Let's just see how this goes. Let's go. The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharpe. Read if you like con artists, bank robberies, and talking about identity. And if you like supremely beautiful covers. A Court of Silver Flames. Read if you hate Feyre. Read if you need to heal from personal trauma. Read if you like meditating. Read if you like fairy smut. Ooh, The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. Read this if you like females murdering their sisters' murderers. Read this if you love female violence. And read this if you like working at dog shelters. The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Read this book if you like the hating game, but you're more basic than that. Oh, that was burn. Read this if you like old-fashioned radios and if you think that guys are misogynistic in managerial roles. Managerial? Is that a word? I Feel Bad About My Neck and Other Thoughts on Being a Woman by Nora Ephron. Read this if you ever want to buy a Chanel bag. Read this if you want to get inspired to cook gourmet meals. Read this if you want to feel in a group of other women. Honestly, those are the only things that stand out. The chef story, obviously the one about aging, the neck, and then the handbag. God, what's wrong with me? The 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano by Donna Freitas, don't know. Read this book if you thought The Midnight Library was a little too repetitive. If you don't want to have children. Read this if you want to divorce your husband. I am happily married, folks. I'm just saying. Read this book if you like the conversation of whether fate is real or not. It sort of gives time traveling vibes without time traveling. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Read this. It's just time. It's time to read this book. Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. Ooh, read this for spooky vibes without spooky content. Read this if you wanted to be that bad bitch in high school. Read this if you don't mind really cringy lyrics. Also read this if you wish you had a boyfriend in high school. Early Morning Riser by Katherine Heiny. Heiny? I don't know. Read this book if you like a slow book where nothing really happens, where there's a cast of characters. Honestly, I pictured this main character living at Lorelai Gilmore's house. So read it if you like Gilmore Girls. Obviously read this if you're into found family. Wow, No Thank You essays by Samantha Irby. Honestly, just read this. This was hilarious. If you like laughing, if you like funny people, read this and listen to the audiobook because she narrates it herself. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Read this if you like gay love interests. Read this if you like celebrity dating situations. And read this if, honestly, those are the only reasons I read it because I don't really care too much about politics. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Read this if you love friends to lovers. Read this if you need a lot of backstory to believe in a romantic entanglement. Read this if you're going on a trip. And read this when you don't like your job anymore and want to change it. The Office of Historical Corrections by Danielle Evans. Obviously read this if you like short stories, if you like conversations about race, if you want to leave a story with an uncomfortable nest of fury and injustice in the American people. But also, if you're lonely, read this. If you want a good cry, read this. Oof, this one broke my heart a little. 5 stars. Out of 5, not 10. I'm sorry, 5 out of 5 stars. Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. Oof, this might be my favorite book of the year. Read this if you love a short story, because it's not that long. Read this book if you actually hate when family or friends tell you that you need a better job. Read this if you're not that ambitious. Read this if you're happy with your life. Read this if you have bullies in your life. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, a classic. Read this for unrequited love feelings. Read this for evidence that men can also be very desperate and attractive at the same time. Read this for spooky gothic feelings and vibes. Also read this if you have like Dursley level aunt and uncles or family members that just suck. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Read this if you like any 80s movies. Read this if you are listening to Spotify all the time. Read this for a pretty good enemies to lovers situation. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. Obviously read this if you like Schitt's Creek. Read this if you like girly protagonists who are unapologetically feminine. Read this if you love Grumpy Sunshine. See, romances are so easy to do because they're all just tropes. But also read this if you are kind of trying to strike on your own, if you're trying to leave a past part of you behind. Ooh, Glint, which is the Plated Prisoner series, book number 2 by Raven Kennedy. I'm just gonna describe the whole series. Read this if you like Greek mythology, I guess you can say. Read this if textures or like golden shiny things make you happy. Make sure to read this if you read the trigger warnings. Read this if you love that Feyre left what's-his-face for what's-his-face. Crap. Okay, it's Rhysand, and read this if you liked that Feyre left what's-his-face for Rhysand. Also, read the third one if you want some revenge on a abusive man. And then I think the last one is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. Read this if you like Gilmore Girls. Read this if you love a wholesome story. Read this if you like a series of unfortunate events. It gave me that vibe strongly. Oh, read this if you hate your job. You might just quit though. And I'm going to give one more for a standout book that I read this year, The Pisces by Melissa Broder. Read this if you're weird, and read this if you have an obsessive level infatuation with someone. And if you find fish sexy. Okay, that is it. I hope you didn't just have a stroke by me saying read this 140 times. I'm hoping that the rest of my videos will be much better, but I did have fun doing it this way. So cheers to the new year, and I'll see you in the next video.